Hey, how's it going? Have a interesting device here for you today, Max device. This is actually something I'd been looking for a minute, and just randomly the other day decided to search and see if anybody had made something yet. And sure enough, a gentleman by the name of Tom Cosm has created a Max device, and this Max device is a real-time pitch to MIDI converter. So in Ableton, we all know that you can, you can convert your audio to MIDI, but that's not in real time. It takes a second. So this does it in real time. Couple of things about it. It is monophonic, so you can only do one note at a time, and it can be a little buggy. I actually have the MIDI instrument I'm sending MIDI to muted right now because sometimes it will just infinitely sustain a note, but that's okay. It's cool for what it is, and impressive for something that's just made in Max that you're able to use in live and get for free or a couple bucks. So let's take a look at it. If you take a look over on my audio source here, which is going to be what I'm going to run my guitar through just to give you a quick walkthrough on how it works. Let's go ahead and zoom down to the bottom here. This is the first device. So this device is actually two devices. You have a capture device, which will go on your audio channel. And then there's a receiver device. It goes on your MIDI channel. So looking down here at our capture device, we have some controls at the top. These all help you dial in, how many notes are going to be captured, or how quickly rather those notes will be captured. So with stuff like this, you get a lot of ghost notes. So playing around with these can help you get rid of that. We also have our allowed notes down here, so that will allow you to make a scale of some sort or just limit it to 3 notes. And then this little gray bar over here will allow you to decide what range of notes you want to let through. Instead of just letting everything through, you can choose 1 octave or 2 or whatever you decide. So let's go over to our MIDI track, and nothing special about the receiver. It's just over here. This is what sends the note, or the notes rather, to the MIDI device, your MIDI instrument. There's a little button there. If you'd like to buy Tom a coffee, you can do that. So I just want to walk through this really quick and show you the basics of it. And then we'll kind of fool around with it and see what sort of things you can use this for aside from just straight up triggering MIDI to play a synth. Using my guitar right now. And we have the allowed notes set to C major or A minor. And then I have an instrument rack over here, which we will be controlling. Let's go ahead and unmute that. And already, just so you know ahead of time, no shade to Tom, sometimes it will just stop working and you have to delete it and kind of play around with stuff to get it to work. So if we drag a receiver back on there. There we go. So I'm going to mute my guitar. So yeah, pretty simple. You can just send it notes, play around with it. It's not the most responsive thing, but I don't think he created it, so you could play crazy lead guitar parts and then capture the MIDI. In fact, you cannot capture the MIDI on the MIDI track that you're using, but there is a workaround where you can create another MIDI track and then take the MIDI from the first MIDI track, from our first MIDI track that actually has the device on it, and then this will allow you to record MIDI. So That's cool if you want to, capture idea. Me, myself, I am a little bit better guitar player than I am a keyboard player. So sometimes that can be useful if you just want to get like a little bass line down or a melodic idea. Again, you can't do chords. So yeah, that's how it works. That's the basic controls. Now let me show you a couple of things that I had fun with while I was fooling around with this. So while I was watching the video that Tom Cosm made on this Max device, he said that he made it for a specific reason, and that was for using audio effects that accept MIDI input to control their output in terms of, how the effect is being tuned. Those two Ableton effects are Corpus and Spectral Resonator, and those both accept MIDI. So right now I have a Corpus dragged onto my audio source track where my guitar is coming through. And then there's a menu that says MIDI from, and I'm taking MIDI from our MIDI track. So we're sending MIDI from our audio track to our MIDI track, and then we're taking the MIDI from our MIDI track and sending it back into our audio track with Corpus on it. Let me show you how this sounds. So that is not my guitar you're hearing. That is 100% just the Corpus effect being triggered with MIDI. A little bit about this rack that I made. It's pretty crazy, but we have Corpus, of course. And then I have an envelope follower, which is controlling the cutoff or the frequency on the auto filter. And then I have a couple of LFOs. One LFO is messing around with the transpose here. If I zoom in here, you can see it's going crazy. So it's going back and forth between an octave below and back to 0. And then I have that LFO attached to this one, and that is controlling the rate of the LFO. That's how you get that kind of cycling, speeding up and slowing down. And then we got a little bit of a reverb on there and a compressor. And I have a gate just to clean up the audio. And then on our MIDI side, I have a arpeggiator, and I have it set for the distance to go up 7. So we get more than just the note that we're playing. So you can kind of get, almost like a chord effect, if you will. And I got it set 2 steps up. And I've got it's set to 16th notes. If I take that off, it's just playing that one note, but going back and forth between the octaves. So this is one way to do some interesting stuff. And you could also use, your voice for this. Just to show you, I'm going to turn my mic off on this channel so you don't hear me singing all weird. So, yeah, pretty cool. The other thing you can do, aside from using your voice and your guitar or whatever, is, drop some loops in there. So I got like a drum loop here. If I bring down the dry wet, you can hear it's just that drum loop. Turn that metronome off. So it can be pretty fun to just throw random audio at it. So on our next little example, on a cool way you can use this is just for general sound design stuff. You know, if you don't want to sit there drawing MIDI clips or playing a keyboard, you know, while you're maybe just making some weird sound design stuff, not necessarily playing, you know, musical melodic things. You can get your mic running or just leave the guitar plugged in, get feedback through your speakers, you know, hearing whatever synth is being triggered. So let me show you that next. All right, so I pulled in Spectral Resonator, which is the other plugin that you can control with the MIDI. Show you what that sounds like. I made kind of a rack here, kind of the same idea as the other one. Let's get rid of this auto filter. And if we turn our arpeggiator on, it's got a little bit of glide on it. But for our purposes right now, we're not going to be doing, you know, something super musical. We're just going to do some sound design stuff. So sometimes I find it relaxing when I'm, you know, maybe not feeling super creative, and, you know, don't want to work on, you know, some songs that I've got going. I'll just sit and make noise for a long time. It's like, almost like meditation. So we're gonna do that right now just to show you, you know, that we can use outside audio sources to make some interesting sounds here. So I'm gonna grab another LFO. I have one LFO. It's controlling the shift on the Spectral Resonator, and that's kind of giving it a little bit more harmonic character, I guess. But we're gonna grab another LFO here, and we're going to map this to the stretch. Turn that down a bit, and let's do a random, and let's turn off our arpeggiator. So we're no longer in a musical territory here. One thing I want to make sure of is the output of the effects is still going to have some resemblance, at least, you know, rhythmically, to what I'm doing on guitar. It doesn't have to be the notes necessarily, but let's grab a gate. Here's a cool trick with gate. If you've never figured this out or seen this anywhere, I just barely figured this out. If you hit that triangle, you can side chain the gate, and you know, it's like a reverse side chain. So instead of audio telling a compressor when to bring the you know, your audio down, it's going to tell it when to let it through. So we're going to take sidechain from our original guitar input before all the effects, and that will let us just get you know, a little bit more percussive, you know, sounds that aren't just like a wall of sounds. All right, so let's see what else we're gonna do here. Let's maybe turn up our let's grab another effect here. Let's see, what do we want? Let's maybe grab Spectral Time. Another one of my favorite Ableton effects. I'm gonna turn it up to 100% on our dry wet mix, up to 100%. And then we're gonna, let's play around with our LFO here. Let's map it to the tilt, but let's have it only go between 30 or 29% and about 75. Let's also map our mask to that. we're just gonna keep throwing stuff on here. See what happens. Comment down below if you're still watching. You got all the information you needed. Now I'm just having fun. And another thing we can do, let's grab auto filter. Let's throw it on here. And then we're gonna grab an envelope follower. Map that to the frequency. Let's go ahead and add some OTT. Turn our time up. Now that we have this crazy chain going on here, let's drag in a drum break. I'm gonna put my guitar down. So this could actually be great for making, some drum samples or percussion sounds. So let's grab a good break here. Go ahead and resample that. All right, I think that's enough. I hope you enjoyed watching. Cool little Max device. Go get it. Tip the man. Buy him a coffee. Let me know what you thought down below. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.